So what exactly is SAFe? Well, if you get the definition of SAFe, it is a freely revealed knowledge base of integrated, proven patterns for enterprise lean agile development. Great, but what does that really mean? Well, let's deconstruct that and to really understand what is SAFe. Starting with freely revealed knowledge base. SAFe is a website. If you go to www.scaledagileFramework.com, you will see the big picture. It describes all of the roles, artifacts, practices, workflows, principles, guidance that you need that make up the Scaled Agile framework. It is freely available to you. If you remember, or you're in my age demographic, you will remember the Rational Unified Process, which was also offered as a website, but you had to pay for that. It was considered to be a proprietary methodology, whereas here, SAFe is made freely available to you. The big picture here, for example, click on any of the icons representing an artifact, a role, a workflow, a practice, and up will come the description, explanation, even guidance for how to use that artifact or the purpose of that role within the Scaled Agile framework. So that's what it means to be live and freely available. Integrated, proven patterns. One of the things that I truly like about SAFe is that there's nothing new in it. In fact, sometimes that's a criticism people level at it, but I consider that to be one of its strengths, is that all of the practices and roles and workflows and artifacts have some basis of somebody tried it and it worked and they got a successful result out of it. So the intent was people have always been trying to figure out how do we take Agile beyond simply the team, how do we connect it into the enterprise? And these are all the practices integrated into a common framework that have demonstrated themselves to work. Now, one of the interesting conversations I've had with Dean Leffingwell with respect to this is he said that if we can find, or somebody comes up with a new practice that is demonstrated to be better than what we have in the existing framework, then we'll use that because it's about using the best practices that we know about in the industry today. So this is one of the things that I think is really great about SAFe. It is built on proven practices. This is not something that somebody said, I wonder if this will work in a large-scale Agile environment. And that brings us to the enterprise. Scrum, Kanban, most descriptions of Scrum and Kanban are at the team level. They describe how a team can become agile by adopting a specific development methodology such as Scrum, Kanban. But they're kind of shaky on what happens upstream or what happens downstream. How does this team plug into the enterprise? Sometimes it almost seems that the entire Agile world begins and ends with that product owner. And in small organizations, maybe this is the case, but when you're starting to talk about enterprise scale, there is an entire process, there's an entire set of practices for how do we determine what the strategic goals of our organization are, and how are those goals connected down to the team level. And once the team produces an artifact or produces code, is it immediately deployed? Or does it have to go through certain steps? Now, a lot of organizations are not capable of doing continuous deployment because, quite simply, they have legacy architectures, which hopefully they're resolving, but for the time being, they're stuck with it. So what happens downstream from the Scrum team or the Kanban team? And so this is one of the things that SAFe tries to address. How to plug the individual team, those 7 plus or minus 2 people, into the entire enterprise. So here, This level here, the team level, this describes the practices for Scrum and Kanban teams. This here describes how those Scrum and Kanban teams coordinate together and plug into the overall enterprise. Where did the ideas for that team backlog come from? Where does the work products created by that team go? So this is what SAFe is trying to do, plug that team into the overall enterprise. And finally, what I consider to be the heart and soul of SAFe, or its true north if you like, lean agile development. Yes, we can plug a team into an organization, but how do we really achieve agile overall for the organization? So first of all, let's take a look at what lean is. Lean is about improving customer value by reducing waste. It has its origins with the Toyota production system and Taiki Ono, and is becoming much more prominent in software development. Part of the lean enterprise is SAFe. SAFe tries to connect the overall enterprise and its teams in a lean, agile manner. Now, one of the things that I've always found kind of funny, given that this is the heart of SAFe, if you look, the description of lean is this little tiny icon way at the bottom of the big picture. But if you click on that, it brings up the classic House of Lean model. Now, this model was originally created by Taiki Ono to describe how lean worked at Toyota. And everybody who talks about lean creates their own House of Lean, and Scaled Agile is no exception. This, of course, is adapted for software development. But the intent behind this remains the same. What is the goal of lean? We want to create the greatest customer value with the shortest lead time. What the foundation for that is, if you consider that to be the roof, what the foundation is a lean agile leadership. And that foundation supports the roof through the pillars of respect for people, creating flow, innovation, and relentless improvement. This is the kind of things that we need to be able to encourage in an organization, and this is the essence of SAFe, what we're trying to bring to the table. And why is this? Because most organizations that try to adopt Agile at the enterprise scale, they get it right for the teams. So the teams, the design build teams, the teams that are writing software, they're doing Scrum, they're doing Kanban, they're doing really quite well. They got quick deliveries. But then the rest of the organization, all the stage gates come back. There are all the delays in the organization. The delays from analysis to design. Finally, we get to the build. But then once the work products are created at the build, they go into deployment, which again is its long delay. So the water scrumming, as this derisively gets called, introduces delays by introducing stage gates. And one colleague remarked, Al Shalloway once remarked, that inefficiencies and waste in your system will show up as delays. One way to have a delay in your system is to introduce stage gates. So what SAFe is trying to do is change from this water scrumming model for rolling out Agile to the organization to a much more flow-based model. We break through those stage gates and create a system of flow. And so you will see in SAFe what it describes is organizing teams and activities around so-called value streams. So you can imagine being able to create a continuous flow of value and thereby reducing the lead time to delivering value to your customers. So if you look here at the big picture, you will see how SAFe is organized around value streams. You'll see value streams are prominent in the big picture in SAFe. So if you really want to have a deep understanding of this idea of lean and flow, which is truly the heart of SAFe in my personal view, you probably want to get a copy of this book, Donald Reinertsen's Principles of Product Development Flow. I would consider this book describes the theoretical foundations of SAFe. Now, this is a pretty heavy-duty book to read, and I would strongly recommend you get together sort of as a brown bag and with a team and go through this book a chapter by chapter, because even if you're not adopting SAFe, it gives you the ideas of how do you effectively have a lean, agile enterprise? How do you remove waste, and how do you think about reducing the lead time and delivering more value to your clients? After all, isn't that what this is all about? This is why you're going through this, that how do I deliver greater value to my customers with less waste? And that doesn't mean making your people work longer hours. It means sustainable pace. So, to tie it back all together, SAFe is a freely revealed knowledge base. It's a website, freely accessible, live website with all the knowledge of SAFe. It's integrated proven patterns. Yes, the advantages, there are no new ideas here. It has taken proven practices and integrating them into a consistent framework. For the enterprise, plugging the individual Scrum team or Kanban team into the organization such that we can have alignment between the big ideas at the top of the organization and the strategic goals to how that individual Scrum team builds its backlog and delivers value into the organization in a lean, agile development, not trying to fit individual Scrum teams into some kind of water Scrum or build in stage gates, but smashing through those stage gates and minimizing the lead time and reducing waste such that we can create the greatest value for our customers. Now I think you've got a better idea of what the definition of SAFe is.